I'm digging.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Co-Creation Station, the podcast where we talk about spiritual magic, the law of attraction, the mind-body-spirit connection, and how to best enjoy this mystical, miraculous, mysterious, crazy, sometimes confounding, but always incredible journey we call life. My name is Collin. I'm a musician, tarot, oracle card reader, and teacher.
My name is Stephanie, and I'm a transformational life coach. I purposely did not laugh at that.
Perfect.
And then you did.
Anyway,
oh, y'all, this is going to be fun today, I hope.
We want to thank you so much for listening to our podcast. If you're listening to the audio version on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And we want to thank you so much if instead you're watching us on the Co-Creation Station YouTube channel. If you feel motivated to like us, subscribe to us, review us, whatever, give us 4 stars, whatever the platform you're consuming us on allows you to do, we would really appreciate it. Each week we start a discussion from a different jumping off point, which I think is already happened.
Literally went, we have taken the deep dive off the high board. Oh my gosh.
Off the what?
I'm picturing in my head like a big rock and people just jumping off and diving into the water. But
that reminds me, yesterday I saw, speaking of, because in our friend time we were talking about funny short videos that circulate through the internet or apps or whatever, and I saw another one that wasn't just like funny, it actually scared the crap out of me.
I don't want to go there.
This guy was on,
keep laughing.
This guy was on the top of this gigantic cliff and one woman, and they're all in bathing suits, one woman climbs onto his back and the other woman climbs onto his front, and they do a somersault as a threesome off the cliff and land in the water, feet first. Yeah. And I was like, all I kept thinking as they were like, because it took them a long time to like get set and get one person on, and all I kept thinking is like, the title of this video is like how people die. It was like, if you want to know how to die in an interesting,
this is one of the very creative ways that you can. Yeah.
These 3 individuals are going to demonstrate for you how you could do that. I was actually laughing all the way through because I was like, I must be watching a video where 3 people intentionally kill themselves in a weird way. But they were fine. They did it perfectly. And they enjoyed it. I was just like, there's no freaking way I would ever do that. But yeah, the jumping off point today was laughter, and how that helps, and I think specifically the thing we were starting from, or we wanted to start from, was it's good to get out into the world. We
have 2 different starting points. That wasn't mine, but that was yours.
I think it's possible that that's always the case. And but my starting point was, it's
you're so right, Collin.
About what?
That we have 2 different starting points, yours and mine.
Yeah. Maybe that's not a problem. Maybe that's the secret of our success.
The secret sauce.
Makes you think. But anyway, my starting point was the fact that I don't want to recommend anybody to just like sit in front of your television or your computer all day just watching videos. However,
unless you're laughing your ass off, and then you, by all means, go for it.
Because I did burn. I burned, and I feel great about this. I burned probably over an hour yesterday. Watching TikTok videos that I had saved that were just flat out hilarious. Every one of them was brilliant, creative, and hilarious. And I was literally laughing. It was probably the longest time I was laughing continuously ever. And it like, you've told your story about how you used to practice laughing for like, you started off with 1 minute and you got up to like
5.
Yeah.
Literally, I'm standing in my kitchen one day, bellied over, laughing. I kept watching the clock, 40 minutes, 43 minutes.
Wow.
And then I kept thinking during that 43 minutes, I'm like, if someone saw me right now, they would think I was crazy. And then I just belly over laughing even harder. And then it's like a muscle. And then I can easily start laughing at, and that's what happened today at our friend time. And it's just kind of rolling over now.
I know.
But I think that's where my starting off point with this is that, you saying burned an hour, and I'm thinking, dude, that is the best way to spend an hour if you're going to spend an hour, because a lot of people are like, because you were saying your inner critic was like, what are you doing, dude? You should be out in the world with others. And I'm like thinking, if you're having a great time, what does it matter? Because you were totally practicing the art of allowing. And that's where people don't understand the value in enjoying ourselves. That is the art of allowing.
100%. I just think that there is a difference, and it's really, for me at least, my experience is, it's just, if not listening to my critic at all, because it's never helpful for me to listen to my critic about anything. But if I really check in with my true self, my higher self, like the real intuition and wisdom that's within me about things, I can tell, like, is this activity that I'm doing good for me, healthy for me, something my higher self is choosing, something spirit, higher power, or the universe would choose for me to do, would say is that's a good thing to do, or whether I'm doing something that has pleasure to it, but has like either a self-destructive, self-sabotagey element to it, or just doesn't, like, it feels, I don't know how to say it, but it feels good in this kind of shallow way. And beneath that, I don't feel good. If I'm really honest with myself.
Yeah. And what was yesterday in that hour that you were?
No, I felt that was, I'm really glad I spent my time laughing at those videos. I'm really glad that was why I saved them, was because I knew that these are not things that are just, fleeting. I could watch these again and laugh again, and I want to do that.
And you showed me one of them, and you were dying laughing, and I was cracking up, and that's what got us rolling. It was awesome.
Okay, well, great episode.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening. This was awesome. Hope you got something out of that. So something you said earlier reminded me of this, and I don't know if I mentioned it in our last episode, but I definitely wanted to bring it up. And I remember years ago going to Kono's, which is a really favorite spot down in Pacific Beach at the end of Crystal Pier, or where Crystal Pier, in San Diego. And having breakfast. It was a usual thing that my husband and I would do at the time, Sunday mornings, go down and have breakfast. And we met this couple. They were probably 10, 15 years older than us, and really nice couple. And we ended up, we ended up switching spots because it was easier. He really wanted to talk to her husband, and I wanted to talk to her. And in our conversation, she was telling me about her life, and she had, I was like, how did you guys meet? And because this was her second marriage, and she was telling me that. And then she said her first husband had passed away, and she had a young child. And I was like, oh my God. And she goes, yeah, but I moved over to live with a friend, and then I met my husband, And she goes, things always just worked out for me. She goes, I was always happy, and things always worked out for me. And I'll never forget her saying that, because at that point I was already teaching, the art of allowing and stuff. And oh gosh, I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted with the text just came up. And it's like, that's it.
Do, Stephanie. It's fine. You left last week.
Hey y'all, it is the 4th of July. I just want to say, I want to acknowledge that, and we're recording.
And I know you have a busy life. You have a lot going on. You got your coach and family and stuff.
And so, stop, I'm losing my train of thought. And so that is it in a nutshell. She goes, I was just always happy, and things always worked out for me. And I don't want people to think like you just have to always be happy and walk around like, yeah, life is good. But generally, in any type of positive emotion, if you're, do your best to be in that most of the time versus the opposite, like, things are going to go well for you. And and laughing is one of those ways. I mean, there's so many ways that we can laugh. That make us laugh. And I
create a lot of those ways for people when I enter a room sometimes. just my presence. It's just like,
Well, especially when you walk in, you have that big red ball on your nose and those big old flappy feet shoes, and it's like, Collin.
I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
You said
So we were
something there,
driving up to, I was driving up to Laguna Beach last Saturday to meet you. And there is a Denny's off the side of the 5 in, I think it's San Clemente. And I'll never forget, my granddaughter was probably a year old. We had taken her to Disneyland and we were driving back. It was around midnight and we had stopped into this Denny's, and I was driving, and my daughter and my mother and I were sitting at the table, and we go to order a food, and I'm just laughing. I'm like so tired. And when I'm tired, sometimes I get the giggles. And the person came over to take our order, and I just start laughing. And then my mom starts laughing at me because I'm laughing. And so anytime I drive past that Denny's, I just remember that evening and I just start to laugh. So there's just all those little moments, that we've had. I'm sure you've had them yourself, where you can look back on them and go and just start laughing.
Yeah.
And Nibbles is on his back. And he's just got this
for those of you on the audio version right now, Nibbles is your granddaughter's dog?
Yes, and we get him part-time.
Okay. And you've been looking after him from time to time, and he's been a source of joy and happiness for you.
Co-ownership, and he's in the pose of like, let's go for a walk now, where he lies on his back and he kind of curves his body. And I'm like, dude, we just got into the office. We're not leaving anytime soon.
We're trying to do a podcast, Nibbles. We're doing a professional show here, Nibbles. Like, we appreciate your. Anyway.
So you want to share that TikTok you just showed me? Just talk about it?
I'm just a little nervous about, like I can talk about it. I'm a little nervous about how it'll translate on the Zoom here. We haven't been having good luck with video, but it's just it's funny. There's a joke. I'm a huge Saturday Night Live fan and have been for, I don't know, since I can remember, since I was a little kid. And it was a really genius. Most of the people that get on that show are genius in my eyes, but Phil Hartman was a comedian who was on there, and I recently learned a lot of his story. How he got into comedy and everything, and all that sort of stuff. He actually got into it fairly late in life, and then just found his thing. And there was this one sketch, and like some of the weird sketches in Saturday Night Live, like they have them go later in the show because they're not sure like the wider audience will get it, and they feel like a lot of people are like passing out from the alcohol or falling asleep anyway. And there was this one sketch, and it was a weird sketch, and it was this like husband and wife team, and they were sort of like entertainers, and mainly the woman was just talking, but then Phil Hartman, his character would just, and he was like one of these 40s film guys that he was really good at playing. And he would just be like, hey, what's up? And like at one point the wife said something and he told a joke, and it was like my favorite joke forever. And nobody else that I ever met liked it or thought it was funny, but I don't know. And the joke was like, the joke was a guy walks into a bar and says, hey, Pete, how's it going? Pete says, shut up. It's just like, it was like so nonsensical that like, but it was this little scene where the bartender is like, hey, Pete, how's it going? And Pete just tells the bartender to shut up. And it literally was like 3 seconds. And I don't think anybody laughed in the studio audience, but I thought it was hilarious to the point that I remembered that joke my entire, like anytime anybody asks me what my favorite joke is, I get nervous because number one, I know it immediately, which most people don't have like a favorite joke they remember. But number two, it's like no one else in the world thinks it's funny. But this video, I think, is funny to a lot of people. The TikTok video you're mentioning, and it has that sort of, but it's funny for some of the same reasons, which is it's just very. Sometimes you can most comedy is based on human flaws. It's basically, or contradiction. It's just like you set somebody up as smart and they do something stupid, or or you just see somebody who is well coordinated and you see them trip and fall. It's like, we're so much of comedy is just observing our, I don't even know, flaws, but just like the silly stuff we do as humans. It's
Human
just like that.
behavior, yeah.
But you can accentuate sometimes the comedy with certain things, timing, for one of them. But the other thing is like abruptness or surprise, can accentuate comedy. And like that TikTok video does that. It's like these two dogs and they have human voices. And the dogs in the video are obviously about to kind of get into a fight. Like one of them is protecting his yard and the other one is just sort of walking around. The owner's probably somewhere, but they're not leashed. So, the dog that's roaming around gets curious and like then they see each other and they start, so there's a real life thing of the dogs like starting to get into a fight, but then they put whoever made the video put human voices from something else, like some other scene from YouTube or whatever underneath it. And it's just these two dogs getting into it, but the dog guarding his yard has this like amazing, it's almost like a classic Henny Youngman kind of setup. Because the dog that's roaming around gets insulted and says, you better not bring my mother into this. And the guy says something that has nothing to do with his mother that calms the other dog down. And then he's like, oh, by the way, your mother, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I knew you were going to bring my mother into it. And it's just such a classic setup, but yeah, it's hilarious.
I like the one you were talking, and then that you shared about the couple who go to sleep.
Oh, that's an internet meme. That's been going for a long time. It's all over the place on the internet. Yeah. Where the wife is like, I wonder if he's thinking about other women. And the guy's thinking, there's a million different versions of it, but the guy's thinking like, I wonder how giraffes got a neck that's so long. It's like so removed from anything. But the reason that's funny is because I think people can relate to it. Even if you're a guy, you can relate to some, your wife or something, like thinking you're thinking something that you're totally not. But also, like, I think all humans can relate to like worrying about what someone else is thinking of them.
Right.
And then you find out later that they weren't
so wrong.
Yeah, you're so self-obsessed and like they were thinking about what they needed to go buy at the grocery store or something.
I've told that story in my head over, oh my God, da, da, da. And then when I ask and they're like, no, I was dead. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
And I'm so
internet memes are like, I'm not breaking any headline news here for our audience by saying internet memes are pretty funny, but I think one of the things about internet memes that I witness is, because another thing about comedy that I've learned is that the more specific the reference, the funnier it is. And so like when you're with your family, if you're with like three of your closest relatives and you're talking about an aunt that does something weird and all three of you see it all the time and you do like a funny impression of your aunt doing it, that is funnier than any joke any stand-up comedian could ever tell you, because it's so specific. You all know that person so well. And like I've worked in the corporate world a lot. There's like a lot of like jokes that go around that are specific to whatever's going on at that company that you can tell in the break room and people are dying, and you go tell somebody on the street and they're like, what are you talking about? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But
well, you and your sister Kelly have that a lot too, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But that's the thing about internet memes is they like sometimes I would say often I don't get it because it's such a specific reference to something that's going on reality television show or something in the news that I don't follow, that I'm like, oh man, like, and a lot of times an internet meme will get me to go research whatever the hell it's talking about so that I can get the joke, and then I'm like, oh my God, that's hilarious. But that's the thing about internet memes is like they get very, very hyper specific sometimes about a TV show or something that's going on in politics or something like that, and it's like the comedy geyser is even bigger that comes out of it because it's so specific. You have to know the context to understand the joke, but if you get the joke, it's like so hilarious. And there's a lot of like I don't watch reality TV at all, but now it's the dominant form of television in America, and there's all kinds of things that are like internet memes making fun of specific characters and why they do things on, or people on the reality TV shows. And if you watch the show, it's religiously, like a lot of people do, it's just like hilarious. But So that meme is really funny. The other one that gets me, and I understand, somebody explained to me it's a sexist, the sort of principle of it is sexist, and I agree with that now, but it's sort of like there's a psychological thing that the meme is talking about that is not sexist, which is how humans quite often like have something good and their eye wanders to something else, like they have something that is desirable, and then, but they're just humanness. They're just like, oh, but I'd really like to have that. And so it's called the distracted boyfriend meme. And it's, I mean, for people who know it, they're listening or watching, like they're like, oh, of course, the distracted boyfriend. But there's a guy, very good looking guy, walking with a very attractive girlfriend, and they're holding hands, but the guy is turned around, like his head has turned because another attractive woman has just walked by him. So you see the other woman in the foreground, and then in the background you see the boyfriend who's walking with his girlfriend. He's turned around and he's got this look of like, ooh, like he's really attracted to the other woman.
Yeah,
and his girlfriend has this look of like, like she's horrified that he's not blatantly looking at something else. So there's sexism in that about, women's attractive look, all that. And I get that. But there is something there that's just human about how we get distracted and want things even though we have something good, which I think is the underneath thing of that. Like they probably have a really wonderful relationship, and he's not.
I'm sure. Well, and I just want to just say, and I definitely had this experience once where it was verified that this is true, that women make men's heads turn. So it's not that, like you were saying, that guy, loves his wife, loves his girlfriend, whatever, thinks she's amazing. Yeah. However, it is just biological that women make men's heads turn. So us women should not be offended when our partners' heads turn because they see a woman that they think is beautiful or attractive or whatever. And I would love to, and any woman out there who can do this, you're amazing, be able to be like, oh my God, isn't she beautiful, honey? Instead of being like, oh,
So as you started talking about that, Stephanie, at first, for a moment, I was getting very scared because I was like, oh, if Stephanie says something controversial, like I don't want to get like emails and comments about it. And I'm like, oh, but actually we almost never get any emails or comments. So, like, it's really good if Stephanie would say something super controversial, which I don't think what you said was that controversial, but maybe there's somebody who is offended and they will finally send us an email at cocreationstation1111@gmail.com, and we'll get our first email ever that's not from you or a guest.
Hilarious.
No, but I think that's the genius thing about memes is like people put there's a lot of intelligent thought that goes into the creating of those memes to make them that specifically funny. Yeah. I forget. This is political and I hate to get political, but
do you?
Now I do, yeah. Now I do. Since whatever, November 7th of 2020, I hate it. Scarred for life. Hashtag scarred for life. But what the heck was it? It was, of course, now I'm on the air and I'm blanking. But anyway.
You blank? That's rare. This is a historical moment. Hang on. July 4th, 2021. You remember everything.
We've been talking about the fact that we were really good friends before we started this podcast. That was well established. And I had been your
Larry Hamill. What was his name? Harry Hamlin.
Yeah, I'm still trying to think
of that. He was well known for Clash of the Titans. I looked it up. And LA Law. I almost said that. We just lost our audience.
You're quoting a bunch of inside jokes from when we hung out alone in Laguna Beach last week, and nobody has any idea what you're talking about. And this is what I hate about podcasts is that people start talking inside baseball.
Okay. So
and you're like, hi, I tuned to this podcast. Could you freaking
last week when Collin and I met in Laguna Beach to celebrate our first season with the podcast, somehow I'm like, we were talking about movies, and I had asked Collin, I said, have you ever met anyone famous? Have you ever seen them? And so he starts telling me, I'm telling him my stories. And then I couldn't remember this one actor. And then I couldn't remember the show he was in. And he's like, okay, Stephanie. And I'm like, oh, I hate when this happens. And then I was trying to describe who the guy was. And I'm like, he was, and I couldn't remember the name. Finally, somehow, I remembered the name of the movie, Clash of the Titans. He goes, oh, Hartman goes, why didn't you just say LA Law? He was in that forever. It was famous. And I'm like, that's the one I remember him in. I watched LA Law, but I always think of Clash of the Titans. And then when I looked it up that night or the next day, it said he's most famous for Clash of the Titans and LA Law. And I was like, see? And I was going to send it to you, but I didn't. Anyways.
What website described Harry Hamlin, the professional actor, as most famous for Clash of the Titans?
I just looked up Harry Hamlin. It was maybe in Wikipedia, but it came up. It did.
It was not Wikipedia. It was not IMDb, because no intelligent person would describe Harry Hamlin as like, oh, let me identify Harry Hamlin to you. He's the guy in Clash of the Titans.
I was just offended by what you just said, because you said no intelligent person, and I did. So
I'm talking about the website. No. I'm talking about the website. There's no website.
We're actually gonna have our first fight.
We might as well.
On the episode.
We've been breaking all other new ground lately in our friendship. I can't find. It's so funny now. The distracted boyfriend meme has so many different things. I can't find like the one that was the most funny to me. The one that's probably the best known is that is about millennials. So now I'm going to offend millennials. Again, co-creationstation1111@gmail.com. Please email us.
Comedy. It's like that they offend people all the time. Look at Don Rickles. Come on. Oh, he offended up and down.
I'm not sure in 2021. I love Don Rickles, but I'm not sure in 2021 we want to say, well, Don Rickles did it, therefore he did a lot of things that are not.
I'm just saying. Anyway, it's so sensitive now.
The most famous one is the boyfriend has a sign on him saying millennials. The attractive woman that he's looking at, who got his attention, has a sign that says avocado toast. And the sort of girlfriend being rejected in the moment has a sign that says a stable career, property ownership, health insurance, an IRA, financial stability, and the ability to start a family.
Oh, goodness.
So that's not the funniest one I've ever seen, but that's the one I could find that was.
And I just look
at
videos online. YouTube is my go-to. Comedy, stand-up comedy. I love the Geico Hump Day commercial with the camel and then the remix. Oh, every time I watch that, I laugh.
We've mentioned that before, but I think we need to mention it more.
DJ V, is it? DJ V, who did the remix that you sent me to?
Remix on YouTube.
Yeah, it's like 1 minute and 31 seconds long. Oh.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. All right. You wanted to do a 30-minute episode today. We're at 29 minutes, 20 seconds. So I think.
Bye, y'all.
In my scripting morning, I wrote, Stephanie and I did an amazing episode. It is amazing, but not for the reasons that I wanted it to be. And there you go. The universe brings you what you want, just not the way you thought about it. But could you just sum it up? Because I know we talked about it in previous episodes, but again, you made the point. People need to hear it multiple times, or somebody might be watching. This might be the first time people are watching us. From a law of attraction, in terms of the law of attraction, art of allowing, welcoming more of what you really want into your life, why does laughter help?
Whew, because it feels good. And the art of allowing is all about feeling good. And anytime we're in a higher vibration, which is that positive, any type of positive emotion, we are a vibrational match to everything that is in our vortex. And so, and remember, whatever it is that we want, is we want it because ultimately that we think, well, we're going to feel better and having it, experiencing it, being it, what have you. And when we can feel good in the moment, then we're pre-paving our future moments to be equally as good. So whatever you can do to get into the vortex, feeling good, feeling better, you're right on track. And laughing is one of the fastest ways to get there. And I don't know about you, but I had a great time.
I did too. I don't know how we laughed through our first fight. That was interesting. Cool.
Did I sum
Well,
it
for
up?
us, yes, you did a beautiful job. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Yes. Harry Hamlin would have been amazed by that summary, I think.
For all of you that can't see, I'm sticking my tongue out at Collin. Yes, I just went into my 5-year-old.
I want to do an episode. I want to do an episode of the many things that made me want to live in Los Angeles when I grew up.
Ooh.
Because I want to give Harry Hamlin his due. Both, not just Harry Hamlin, but the whole crew: Corbin Burnson, Susan Day, everybody on LA Law. Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing? LA Law was a fantastic. Anyway, I want to do an episode on like the positive things that
would
brought
be
me to Los Angeles.
awesome. And I'll add my Disneyland.
Thank you for putting a straight face on there to say that. So Stephanie, this is we were recording this on the 4th of July, but the first we're posting it on July 19th. But we hope you had a happy Independence Day if you live in the United States.
Yes.
And if you don't live in the United States,
we hope you had a great Sunday.
A lot happier than we are.
How can you say that? Oh, come on now.
Co-creation station 1111 at gmail.com. Please respond.
Are you just trying to hook
arguments, hate?
We're gonna get someone to email us.
Yeah.
Beg.
No, you said the whole thing about how women shouldn't be upset when their men stray, and
I didn't say stray. No, wait a minute. I just said when a man's head turns, women make men's head. I didn't say stray. You said that. That never came out of my.
I criticized America as a nation. We should get at least 3 emails on this.
Don't be disappointed if we don't. We will someday. It's in our vortex.
Here's what I want. I want more emails than views.
What?
So like if we get 6 views on YouTube, I want to get 7 emails from angry people.
No, I'd love. Please, if you laughed at any point, shoot us.
We helped raise your vibration. We may not have made any sense, but we raised your vibration by making you smile and laugh.
Or even if you thought these people are crazy.
They'd be right about that.
Email is so much harder today than texting. It's like maybe we should have a phone number just for people to text us.
I can deliver that. I can deliver that.
555 dash the email.
No. I had like a Gmail texting thing that has a different number than my regular number.
Oh, dude, give it out.
I just don't know what it is. I have to find it here. Come on.
So these 3 people walk into a bar. Fill in time.
The bartender says, "How y'all doing?" And they all say, "Shut up." I'm the only one that thinks that joke is funny. It looks like, yeah, this is it. Okay. Area code 310, Los Angeles, California area code. 853 3351. So 310-853-3351. I'll also put it in the description. So if you want to text us a comment, angrily reacting to some of the offensive things we said
or
today,
happily, any kind of feedback you would love to give us. We were happy to
Sure.
hear it. Positive or negative.
Negative, neutral. Like I listen to
We
you
have
guys.
very
and
thick
nothing
skin.
happens.
I pinched myself. Yeah, I was showing
We
my
gotta wrap
arm.
this up because now we're in like
Okay.
a silly mode where we're just gonna do another.
Okay.
We're gonna do another 40 minutes of nothing.
Right.
So, all right. If people for some reason want to contact you, you personally, not the podcast stuff, how can they get in touch with you?
www.powerinjoy.com. It's in our description as well.
So if your boyfriend is constantly looking at other women and you want to know how to deal with that,
I can help you feel better about that, darling. I can help you have a whole new attitude about that and many other things.
I have to say, I am amazed at how off the rails this episode got, and I love it. I just love it. If you want to contact me, there's a ton of stuff in the description. I'm also obviously the person that answers that phone number for text messages and the co-creation station email. So you can try either one of those. Or you can see my website, collinworster.com, COLLINWORSTER.com. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Happy Independence Day to you. Happy July 19th to everybody else.
We look forward to hearing from you all.
Do we have a guest next week? I feel like we have a guest and I haven't gotten in touch with her and let her know, like, I mean, we booked her, so she knows it's this Brandy. Is that what we're doing next week?
I have to break out my list.
Have a great week, everybody. We will see you, or you will hear us next week on Co-Creation Station.
Bye.